And we're back. Like I said, we're going to be doing Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Blood and Honey 2. I've already done a breakdown on Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but in honor of watching this one, I ended up re-watching this one just to refresh myself on exactly what was going on in this flick. And I can honestly say, after having watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, you probably don't even need to watch the first one at all to pretty much get right into and understanding the second one, though I watched it just to watch it. And I pretty much stand by a lot of what I said in that first video, but here's some new things that I would say. I have a newfound appreciation for a lot of schlocky stuff. You know, I really enjoy that type of thing because it can be funny. It can be very entertaining. Bad movies can be entertaining. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is certainly not a good movie. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 is significantly improved from this one, almost to the point that the makers of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, which is the makers of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1, decided to pretty much soft reboot this whole thing by recasting Christopher Robin and redesigning all of the Pooh and everybody else. They redesigned them, and they made this movie something that exists in universe to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. I'm just going to call it Pooh 2. I don't want to keep saying the whole thing. So, in Pooh 2, Pooh 1 is a movie that exists. The events in Pooh 1 have happened, but they have been altered slightly in the actuality of this film's continuity. So as this film is just the exaggerations and all that stuff. A massacre did happen in the 100-acre wood, and Pooh and Piglet were at the focal point of all of that stuff. And Christopher Robin gets blamed for it because who can believe that a mutant bear and a mutant pig man, bear, pig? Huh. Now that's interesting. We're not going to get into that, though. In this one, though, I have a couple of things that I do want to say differently. This feels like a short, like a horror short. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1, Pooh 1, would have worked a lot better if it were a short, roughly about 10 to 20 minutes of an actual just cheesy short dealing with this whole thing. The outfits, the costumes, and the budget works for a TV for a horror short. Just a concept, a type of idea. You have enough material here for a horror short. There's like a dichotomy between the two casts, between Pooh, Piglet, and Christopher Robin, and everybody else in this movie, the group of college kids that are just there to die. I've said it before in that previous 8-film video, that a lot of these films tend to do the same thing. They have a group of college kids go to a secluded cabin for the weekend, and somebody comes in and kills them all. That's a trope that has been in so many movies, it is incredibly overtired. I have dozens of movies that do this concept, and I am absolutely sick of it. But I will say that Pooh 1 does look better than a lot of those movies on that 8-film set. It does look a whole lot better. But I couldn't tell you who any of those cast members are that were in the college kids at the cabin for the weekend. I couldn't tell you who any of them are. I have given them my own nicknames as main character girl. There is Instagram girl. There is a nerdy girl. There is the blue shirt non-nerdy girl, and there's the red shirt girl, and then there's the ginger. I don't know anybody's names. If they've said names. I'm pretty sure they have names. I'm pretty sure they called each other by names. I just can't remember them. I don't know them. I just watched this and I don't know anybody's names. I can honestly tell you that you could have written that entire thing out. You don't necessarily need a main cast to focus on that are just there to be the kill count. That's the problem with Willy's Wonderland that I also mentioned with Nick Cage. That I was there for Nick Cage and the animatronics, and every time the film went back to the stupid kids, I was like, get back to Nick Cage and the animatronics. I don't care about this portion of the story. That is my thoughts with with Pooh 1, is that I didn't care about the college kids at the cabin for the weekend. I didn't care about any of their stuff, any of their dramas and all. It's very, very, very shallow, and I just wasn't. Some of the kills were very good. Not good as in, like, good, but good as in entertaining. There is a scene with the Instagram girl where she gets her head run over by Pooh in a car, and that was hilarious. I had a lot of fun with that. That was incredibly fun. And fun is where I could be forgiving of bad movies, is that if I can have fun watching it, then it's a success to me. I had fun in quite a few places watching Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 1, but it needed some work, and this is where it got a lot of polish. The polish that it needed still needs some more polish, but it got a lot of polish that it's a major improvement. It is so much better than this. This is like the garbage that goes on an 8-film set. This is the TV movie on the science fiction channel at 2 in the morning on a Wednesday. That's that type of movie, and it fits in what that is. It is very fun time. It's a very fun time in a lot of places. And I will say this, plot-wise, you know, you could rename Pooh and everybody else, all these named characters from the Winnie the Pooh universe. You could take everybody, all these guys, and give them different names, give Christopher Robin a different name, and the film would not change at all. There really is nothing tying it to the original Winnie the Pooh story. There really isn't. And I feel like that is where Pooh 2 fails, is that it needs a stronger tie to the source material to really make it a twisted childhood type of story. I have a few thoughts. I just had a few thoughts off the top of my head about how you could connect these things to the childhood Pooh stories. There's some major spoilers in case you haven't seen it, but obviously I spoil all these movies in every single one of these videos, so you shouldn't be surprised. In this, Pooh is a mutant human. Piglet, everybody else, they're all mutated off of kidnapped kids from a birthday party or something that Christopher Robin attended, and he noticed and he saw his brother being kidnapped. And we learned that his brother ended up being Pooh. Pooh was the mutated brother of Christopher Robin, and I feel like that should have had a little bit more work done. You know, Pooh should probably talk a little bit, you know, say some things. He does say, "Oh, bother," at the very end, which was very fun. I feel like you need to go more on the fun. In movies like Terrifier, especially Terrifier 2 and 3, they dial up the fun factor because they know that there are dozens, hundreds of movies like this. If we're going to make a movie that's like all of those others, we need to really stand out, and we probably need to have fun with it too. And they have a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun watching them. They need to have more fun with these characters, with these movies. They had some of the right ideas, like with Instagram Girl's death scene in the first Winnie the Pooh. If you could have blown that out of proportion, have Winnie the Pooh nodding and Piglet cheering on and like a bunch of hillbillies. It's funny. It makes it fun, you know. Have fun with this property, and they do a little bit with Tigger. Though I will admit that Tigger probably could have been utilized a little bit better. He just suddenly vanishes from the movie and so near the end. And Owl, there's a lot of things that I would have done differently, but I really appreciate the significant improvements that they made over the first Pooh movie, and I appreciate that. This feels like a story. This feels like somebody wrote a story, and characters feel like they have an arc that they go through. Christopher Robin goes through an arc. I think he's played by the director or the producer. Not the director. One of the producers, I think. He's played by one of them. And he does fine as Christopher Robin. He really does bring out that kind face that you would think of Christopher Robin as an adult would look like. He really does sell that character. The outfits are significant improvements. I mean, it's night and day, obviously. This could look a little bit better, though. Tigger probably needs a little bit more color. I would add more color to Tigger. I would add more color to Piglet. Owl's... I would probably add some feathers to his face, but otherwise, Owl was fantastic in this movie. I would not be surprised if Owl ends up being like one of the scientists. As we learn in this film, all these people were kidnapped as kids, human kids, at a birthday party or something, and they were experimented on and mutated into these animal-human hybrid morphs. And Christopher Robin encounters them and befriends them for a few years until he goes off to medical school, and then they all devolve further into murderous... And who knows, they were probably doing that while Christopher Robin had befriended them, but he just didn't remember it properly. That's one of the focal points of the stories, that Christopher Robin's going to therapy, psychohypnotherapy, to try to get his memories properly remembered and all that stuff, instead of having false memories and stuff that his brain would make to protect him from trauma. We needed him to actually remember what was actually going on. Maybe that wasn't honey Pooh was eating all of the time, for example. So a scientist, a doctor man, was creating this serum, and he tested it on these kids and turned them into animal hybrids. I believe there were 7 kids kidnapped. We see 4 here. Although I have a theory on Owl, and if my theory is incorrect, I really would want this to be part of an actual plot point, because that would actually make a lot more sense. It'd be really interesting, to be honest with you. So there were 7 kids kidnapped. We see 3, obviously, here. And then there's Rabbit, Kanga, Gopher. I think Gopher was a Disney character for the Disney TV show, so I don't think Gopher's gonna be in here. But Heffalumps and Woozles, those are part of the Milne books. I've shown some of the books off in this video, but I'll go grab them. Here's 2 of them now. We have Pooh Goes Visiting, and Pooh and Piglet nearly catch a Woozle, and then Piglet meets a Heffalump. There's the Heffalump right there, just looks like an elephant, and a Woozle is like a weasel. So the Woozles and the Heffalumps are actually in this. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the last 2 characters that we see. I don't know if we're gonna see Kanga, but that would be interesting to see Kanga, to be honest with you. Since if they're going with the crazy science, mad science route, then I would say go full into it. Go completely demented and deranged. Have one of the kids kidnapped, be a teenage girl, roughly around 17 to 18, who is pregnant, and have the crazy deranged scientist man experiment on it using the animal DNA of the kangaroo, and then have the mutated test subject give birth to Roo, That would be a pretty interesting and demented idea for this twisted property. That would be pretty interesting. But I don't know who most of the others of these 7 kidnapped characters are, and I am curious to see who some of them are. Rabbit, dies off screen. In the opening credits, there's like an animated sequence explaining what's going on, and we see a dead rabbit, like a burned up dead rabbit. And that probably implies that Rabbit, the character of Rabbit, is dead. And that is sad. I would like to see Rabbit. Although there is a theory that I have. Christopher Robin has a little sister, and the little sister likes to be called Bunny. Rabbit, Bunny. She likes to be called Bunny. And near the end of the film, Pooh kidnaps Bunny. And then we learn that Bunny was found unharmed in the woods. And Owl was nearby. My theory is that Owl either carried on the demented scientist's research or is one of the demented scientists who sampled his own product. Maybe the janitor who shot the scientist had already injected himself with his product. And we learn that you can regenerate from mortal wounds over time, since that's how all these guys survived the disposal. There's a lot I'm unpacking here, and I'm trying to find a nice sequence of events to properly explain just what type of a story they're trying to tell here. So, step 1, 7 kids are kidnapped from a birthday party, and they are turned into Pooh and his friends. Step 2, Christopher Robin finds Pooh in the forest. Step 3, Christopher Robin befriends them and does all that other stuff, and then the events of this happens after he comes back from medical school. Step 4, Christopher Robin encounters the janitor and learns that the janitor was the kidnapper who kidnapped all these people, and he was hired to do so by a Mr. Scientist Man. Mr. Scientist Man was shot by the janitor for doing all sorts of mad science. The janitor ended up disposing of all of the test subjects and the scientist and left. The test subjects did not stay dead. They regenerated. My theory is that Owl is the Scientist Man. He's Mr. Scientist Man, and he sampled his own product and turned into Owl. And that's probably why he's the one who is the most eloquent with words. He's the one who is the ringleader for everybody, trying to get them to do all sorts of stuff that they probably normally would not be as encouraged to do so. He's probably the one the devil whispering on everybody's shoulders these past few years, getting them further and further towards craziness. It could be Owl being the ringleader for all this stuff, and I really like the character of Owl and the mystery behind him. I could be completely wrong with this, but I would be thrilled to see if that was an actual plot point with Owl's character, that he turns out to be the Scientist Man. And like I said with Bunny, is that Bunny was Christopher Robin's sister. Pooh kidnaps Bunny in the middle of the end of the second act, and Bunny is found unharmed by the cops at the end of the movie. What if Pooh takes Bunny to Owl, and Owl injects Bunny with the serum to turn Bunny into the new rabbit? And what if that's the plot point of the third Pooh movie, or the next time we see Pooh and these characters or whatever? What if that's the new plot point? What if Bunny turns into the new rabbit? That would be pretty interesting to see these guys trying to animal morph and increase their numbers and all that stuff. That would be pretty interesting to see. At least I would think so. Go a little ham on it. Have fun with it. You're already deviating from the original storyline a little bit too much. But like I said, I have a few ideas on how you could connect this to the original storyline. What if Pooh wakes up and he wants to recapture his humanity, and he's the one who actually seeks Christopher Robin out? And what if Pooh is so ashamed of what he has turned into, and his friend and all of his friends are ashamed of what they've turned into, that it was Pooh's idea to name himself Pooh and name all these other guys their names as well, based off of Christopher Robin's childhood plushies. What if their names are actually based off Christopher Robin's childhood plushies that he's had? Because we see that he has a couple of them in a couple of these cutscenes. What if the names he gave to his plushies, they took on those names and made Christopher Robin believe that they were his plushies come to life? Because, childhood fantasies and all that stuff. The imagination is incredibly powerful. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid was Toy Story, okay? It's believable that could have happened. That at one point Pooh could have had quite a bit more humanity than he has now, and that could have been what he tried to do. That's a theory. That would be an idea, to connect it to the original books and the storybooks with the little plushies. That would be a nice little nod, at any rate. I don't know, something to think about. But bottom line is, despite all of the hiccups, Winnie the Pooh 2 is a significant improvement upon the first Pooh. Though there is another major hiccup that a lot of people have mentioned already, but I'm going to mention it, and I'm also going to mention an improvement that I might want to do. I know this review is out of order. I haven't written anything down. I'm just going completely by memory, by my head, that's it. There's a scene where Christopher Robin tracks down the janitor, and the janitor just gives in and exposits the whole story to Christopher Robin for about 2 to 3 minutes. I would have done that scene a little bit differently. I would have Christopher Robin remember the janitor in a previous scene, and so he tries to track the janitor down. He goes to the hospital and looks for him. He eventually finds the janitor's home address. It's a trailer it's a trailer. And so Christopher Robin goes to the trailer, and he enters the trailer, and he sees that he's too late. He just missed him. The janitor is slumped over. There's a pistol on the floor. He's already done away with himself. And he's sitting in a chair in front of a projector, maybe an 80s era projector, that's playing soundless film on a loop. It's kind of broken. It's just replaying the same cutscene over and over and over. And on the janitor's desk is a letter, half written, and a couple bottles of cheap booze, and the words, "I'm sorry." So Christopher Robin reads the letter, the half of the letter that explains the janitor's role in all of this. And then there's a little audio tape that Christopher Robin picks up, and he decides to play that audio tape, and then he turns to look at the projector, and then we zoom in on the projector, and then we go to a flashback, a sequence of flashbacks as the audio tape plays in the background. The audio tape is the narrator showing us these flashback sequences, and that could replace the janitor's exposition scene. That's a theory. That's something I came up with on the spot last night after watching this, and I thought, that could be a better idea. That would be a little bit. That would make it a little bit more interesting, because just having a guy just stand there and exposit to you for 2 to 3 minutes is not exactly. You could do a little bit better than that. But hey, I would give this film major points, regardless of its faults, because comparing it to this one, it is a significant improvement. I have already said that you could rename all of these characters and you would not change the film at all. It is very loosely connected to Winnie the Pooh in such a way that it could not be Pooh, period, and nothing would change. But the story itself is interesting. The mutated animal-human hybrids, that is a fascinating subject. It's been done before, but it is still fascinating. The kills are not original, but they're fun. Especially Tigger's sequences, they're very fun. And if a movie can be fun, then I think that movie was successful. Fun is an extremely subjective experience, however. I had fun with Instagram girls scene in the first film. I had fun with the piglet scene in near the end. I had fun with Pooh having control over bees. I thought that was incredibly absurd and stupid, but it was funny. I could have fun with that, but I could see how a lot of other people would not have fun with that. Fun is an extremely subjective thing, but if someone can have fun, then in some way, shape, or form, your story was successful in providing entertainment. There is enough people out there that were entertained that this film turned over a healthy profit. This film turned over a healthy profit. They're made for such shoestring budgets, but they make enough money to be like, wow, this film made 10 times its budget, blah, 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 blah. But that's all I got on Winnie the Pooh. Would I recommend you watch this one? No, probably not. If you're very curious, though, I'm never going to stop you if you're curious in watching a film. Even if I don't like it. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't want to watch it, then don't. I'm not going to convince you. Whatever, this video is not going to convince you to watch either one of these if you're already convinced that you're not going to. But if you're on the fence, I would say, if you like B movies, then give this one a look. And I would also say, if you like B movies, or if you like typical schlocky 80s slashers, the type of schlocky slashers like Basket Case and things like that, if you're a fan of those types of schlock, then yeah, I think Winnie the Pooh 2 is gonna, it might entertain you here and there. Maybe not for the whole film. It's certainly not as good as any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, though. Tigger definitely reminds me of Freddy in some scenes. I would probably turn him up to 11 with the fun factor. I mean, Freddy's dead levels of fun and one-liners. And he'd be a very fun character to watch. This guy definitely gave me Jeepers Creepers vibes. The spoilers, Piglet dies too early to really show us what vibes he gets. I get Michael Myers / Jason vibes from Pooh. So if I were to make a theory, an educated guess, Piglet's probably going to be Texas Chainsaw vibes. Just going off the description of him, you know. But I like how each character is like an homage to a slasher franchise. That's pretty fun. You can tell that a lot of the ideas are from other properties. It's like they took a bunch of things and they threw it into a cauldron and they stirred it up and this is what they got. You can have fun with that. I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun with this. This would be a movie I would actually want to watch again. I forced myself to watch this one again. I probably wouldn't watch this again unless I was showing it to a friend or something. But this one, I would definitely want to watch this again. And I'd probably force myself to watch this one again, too. It's just who I am. If I'm going to watch two, I have to watch one first. But I would definitely give this one a look. Personally, I would definitely... And you don't have to watch this one to watch this one and understand what's going on. You really don't have to. Only do it if you want to. And that's all I got.